Hi there, a warm Nedbank welcome to you. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Nombulelo Letsie. I'm the head of the specialist training program, and that means is that I'm the training officer of the Nedbank CA training program, as well as the head of the Quants graduate program. I'm really proud and privileged to also say that I'm an alumni of the Nedbank CA training program, having completed my articles in 2019. If you're watching this, you're probably considering where to do your articles. You're thinking commerce and industry, you're thinking banking, you're thinking Nedbank. You are at the right place. We're going to be having a very insightful conversation around doing your articles in banking and particularly what Nedbank has to offer for you. I'm not alone this morning. I've got beautiful ladies that are current trainees, alumni of our program that we're going to be chatting with this morning. They're going to introduce themselves. They'll tell us where they studied. They're also going to tell us current rotation or current role. Over to you, Nazmia.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nazmia Park. I'm a third-year CA trainee at Nedbank. I'm currently rotating in the transactional services space, and I completed both my undergrad and postgraduate degree at the University of Johannesburg. Thank you so much.
Hi everyone, my name is Naledi Moabi. I completed both my undergrad and my postgrad at the University of the Witwatersrand. I am currently in a Credit Risk Africa role as a credit manager. I focus mainly on the energy and metal space as well as the oil and gas space.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Claudia Scharberg and I am an alumni of the Nedbank CA training program. I qualified as a CA this year and I'm currently an associate within the transactional services sales team. I did both my undergrad and my postgraduate degree at Nelson Mandela University in Port Elizabeth.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, for the wonderful introductions. So we'll kick off, and the first thing that we'll be talking about is the value proposition that Nedbank offers, which is individually tailored rotations. And really, Nedbank has been a training office since 1997, so we've got experience in developing and nurturing global business leaders. And one of the ways that we do that is affording each and every individual an opportunity to choose a rotation according to their business aspirations as well as career aspirations. We don't have a pre-structured program. We partner with each and every trainee to fulfill their career aspirations. Perhaps to kick off that discussion, Nazmia, take us through the different rotations that you've done and maybe share some key projects that you've done in each of those rotations for the listeners to understand better what you do here.
Sure, no problem. So I began my CA journey at PKF Octagon, where I completed a 3-month audit secondment. The reason I chose external auditing over internal auditing was to broaden my exposure. Since I had opted to complete my article journey in the banking space, I saw external audit as an opportunity to broaden my experience, gain invaluable experience into the audit process, and ultimately reaffirm my decision of choosing to do my articles in banking rather than the traditional audit route. During my time at PKF Octagon, I worked on 2 audit clients. The first one was an NPO focused on empowering women who are interested in pursuing careers in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematical space, as well as a property client, a listed property client in the property sector. A key highlight during my time at PKF Octagon was independently traveling to malls owned by the client to conduct physical verification of their property, plant, and equipment. I appreciated the level of autonomy and trust that my line manager had in me, which made the experience both empowering and very rewarding. My second rotation was in the group financial control space at Nedbank. This was also in my first year of articles. In this rotation, I worked across 4 teams, consolidations, IFRS advisory, reporting, and planning. One of the standout moments of this rotation was independently completing the assets and liabilities not at fair value note, which was actually featured in Nedbank's interim financial statements. I also contributed to several IFRS advisory technical opinions on complex banking transactions across all the business units at Nedbank. I truly felt like an IFRS guru. In my second year of articles, I spent the full year rotating in Nedbank Property Partners, which is in CIB and a division focused on structuring and funding property transactions through mezzanine funding and equity participation. During this rotation, I played a key role in supporting the origination and execution of deals. My responsibilities included financial modeling to evaluate deal returns and ultimate viability, drafting investment sanctions to be presented to the bank's investment committee, issuing legal instructions and reviewing legal documentation. I was also actively involved in implementing extensions for existing clients, which included conducting sector and deal-specific performance analysis to motivate why the client needed an extension. My final and current rotation is in the transactional services sales space within the power and infrastructure sector. This role focuses on delivering short-term liquidity solutions through liquidity working capital facilities such as letters of guarantee, letters of credit, asset-based finance, all tailored to meet the evolving needs of our clients. Fun fact, Claudia is actually my line manager this year. A key highlight of this rotation has been upskilling in a very relevant and dynamic sector. Gaining a deeper understanding of the energy and infrastructure space, as well as project finance. This knowledge, is essential for advising our clients effectively, and it enables me to align our financing solutions with the specific operational needs and project requirements of our clients' businesses.
Well, you've had quite a journey there, Nazmia. And I just want to pick on what you've shared now, the fact that at Nedbank, we actually afford our trainees an opportunity to choose to do their audit experience or exposure internally or externally. And if you choose to go externally, that's when you partner with PKF Octagon and you have a 3-month secondment. I think that's an incredible offering that we have. So, Naledi, maybe over to you. How did you decide on which rotation would you choose? What did you consider?
So coming in at first year is obviously very daunting. There's so many rotations. Where do I rotate? Why do I rotate there? So I think I took a blended approach, both strategic and just focused on what I personally would want for myself. So I spent a lot of time having conversations with people, discussing what different roles have to offer you, what different skills you'd be exposed to, and most importantly, how the culture in the team was, because that is very, very important. I also just I wanted to leverage my personal strengths. I was very good at technical accounting, so IFRS opinions were my baby. I actually did the same rotation that Nazmia did, and she actually influenced me a bit because I got so excited at the thought of writing IFRS technical opinions. So I definitely leveraged my strengths. I also really appreciated financial management. So the space that I was in, I wanted it to mirror what I was good at and enjoyed doing. So secondly, I really paid attention to the interview questions that I wanted to pose in my interview, because as much as I understood that them interviewing me, I had to impress them, obviously, but they also had to impress me. And I made sure that I asked them things about how they work, because that was important to me. Do we work in office? Are we virtual? Am I going to get to collaborate with a lot of people in the team, or am I just fixated on exposure from one person? So all of those factors really influenced how I wanted to proceed and where I felt like I'd feel the most cared for, where I would be the most upskilled in a rotation. And yeah, all the interviews I had were amazing. I just think some teams stood out more than others, maybe because of personal connection, which is also something that I paid really close attention to. And just emphasizing again on having the conversation with relevant people about where you'd like to be and where you see yourself, because that also matters. As much as you come into banking and you don't really know much about what banking is, the rotations, it just sounds like a bunch of fancy words. But just really being aware of the skill set that you'd like to have at the end also really helped in my decision.
That was a very robust process, Naledi. You were just choosing a rotation. You're not getting married. But I guess it's important. I guess it's quite important that you find the team that resonates with you. So as much as individually tailored rotation is a value proposition, sometimes it does happen. Quite a competitive program, fantastic rotations on the catalog. It happens that you don't get the rotation that you want. So maybe Claudia, talk to us about that. How can a trainee navigate that and still make the most of the learning experience?
Absolutely. So it's going to sound like a little bit of a marketing ploy, but I do truly believe that every single rotation that the bank has to offer is a fantastic rotation. However, you go through the process, you have your first choices, and sometimes you don't get placed with that first choice rotation. And it's a little bit of a setback. You have a little bit of a confidence hit. It's kind of like when a date doesn't work out and you're like, oh, what did I do wrong? What if I had just done this? What if I had just done that? What if I had known the price of oil that morning when they asked me instead of forgetting to look at that? But I think the most important thing is to make sure that you make the most of the opportunity at hand. So yes, take a day to wallow, get yourself a little treat, spend a day or two thinking about, was there something that I could have done wrong? Was there a way I could have shown up better? Because that in itself is a learning. You have to see every setback as a springboard instead of something that keeps you back. However, once you are then in the rotation, maybe your second or third choice, it's still a fantastic rotation. It's still a space where you're going to get to learn and grow. And don't come in with the attitude of, oh, this wasn't my first choice, I don't want to be here. Rather come in and say, okay, how can I make sure that this rotation is somewhere where I shine, where I show the team that I am excited to be here, even if it wasn't my first choice? How can I make the most of it and ensure that maybe if I'm a first or second year trainee, the next time I go into a round of interviews for rotation, I have things behind my name that can show that first choice rotation that I am a trainee who they should want. And just making sure that you make the most of the experience, put your hand up for everything, and don't go in with a bad attitude. Go in with thinking that this is a learning opportunity.
Yep. That's really, really incredible. Thank you for sharing that, Claudia. Maybe lastly, to wrap up the rotations, does Nedbank have international rotations?
Yes, we do. We have 2 international rotations.
Do you want to talk about it, Naz?
Yes. So I think in your first year of articles, you can go to Namibia for 3 months. And then Nedbank also offers second or third year trainees an opportunity to go to London for 6 months, where you rotate in CIB, and Nedbank subsidizes your accommodation, and they give you a daily living allowance.
I guess that's a right point to actually close off individually tailored rotation. Perhaps moving on to the second value proposition that we offer our trainees, to banking bootcamp. And I think banking bootcamp, the reason we have banking bootcamp is to make sure that the transition from university to the world of work is as seamless as possible for our trainees, and also just allowing them to engage with the quants and to engage with program management and to acclimatize to the bank before hitting that rotation. So we pride ourselves in having a month-long induction. So Naledi, you are the one who recently attended bootcamp last year.
It feels like a long time ago.
I know, but you're the youngest. So, as you took part in a banking bootcamp, what were some of your favorite moments?
Some of my favorite moments, I think number one has to be the relationships and the connections, especially with both the CA cohort and the quants. I think it's absolutely invaluable to be in a room, in a space with people that have a very analytical mindset, because us CAs, we're very much there with the knowledge, but we're not there with like the technical and what's Python, what's, C++, and, all these people that are from different backgrounds and different just aspirational, just want different things for themselves. You get to engage with them, and just those connections truly do get to live on. I see them, I reap rewards from them even today. I also enjoyed the structured transition. So I think coming from studying is very daunting, because you're used to your own time, you're used to doing what you like, skipping classes if you want to, because you don't have to be in class if you don't need to be. I personally used to study quite well on my own, going to consultations. So when you transition to work, it's like, okay, now I have to be here 8 hours a day, and I need to interact with people, and I need to pay attention to things like my brand and how I speak and how I present myself. And it's very new. And I think the controlled space that is banking bootcamp, being a month long, really does give you a chance to acclimatize yourself to the waking up, the traveling, the conversations, the skills that you need to upskill on, and just you fitting in, essentially. And I think the networking was a very big highlight, networking with the entire cohort, that is CAs and quants, but also just getting to know some people better. This is when you get to find out what people do, what they like, how you get along with people besides work, because that's also very important. So building a robust network from the minute you enter the bank is truly, truly invaluable.
Mm-hmm. I thought you'd also mention that you get to be welcomed by the CEO and the CEO.
The CEO and the CFO.
That's a great network to have on your first month of work.
Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome. Maybe Nazmia, talk to us, which training sessions were most impactful to you? I mean, banking bootcamp is about networking, as I just spoken, but we've got trainings on various topics, from personal branding to what do banks do, to a banking simulation, to presentation and public speaking. I mean, it's a wealth of it's a boutique actually of trainings that are prepared for trainees to help them be the professionals that they want to be. Any training that stood out for you?
I think for me it was the email etiquette workshop. I would always draft my emails with "Good morning, comma, body of the email, kind regards, comma, my name." That's actually wrong. And it was shocking for me to find out that I've been drafting emails my whole life wrong. And I think that stood out for me because I always thought I was like the perfect email drafter. So I think that stood out for me the most. I remember going home and telling my mom, because that's where I ultimately learned how to draft emails from. I would observe from her writing my letters for school when I was off sick, etc. And I remember going home and telling her, "You've been writing emails wrong your whole life." So yeah, that was a standout for me. And then also the simulation of running your own bank and then running it right down into the ground. Yeah. that was so shocking. I mean, you just finished university thinking that you know it all and you like strategy guru, and then your share price just stinks and you're like, oh, okay.
No, that's a fantastic simulation to actually do, to really understand the levers that actually impact the performance of the bank. Awesome. So maybe moving away from Banking Bootcamp now, we'll talk about program involvement. And I'm so grateful that you guys are all former heads of marketing or current heads of marketing. So you've had a leadership position within our program. I mean, I think over and above that, the CA of the Future Competency Framework places emphasis on developing leaders who behave ethically, who can develop and influence other people. So the Nedbank CA training program is actually well poised to give our trainees exposure in that and proficiency in that skill that SAICA wants focus on. So maybe, Klaus, I'll start with you. How is program involvement segmented? And maybe just a quick synopsis of each of the portfolio.
Perfect. So program involvement is segmented into 3 portfolios. We have social, marketing, and recruitment. So starting with recruitment, every year the cohort elects heads of each of the portfolios, which are second-year trainees for the CAs. And those 2 heads of recruitment actually run the entire recruitment process from start to finish. So they oversee things like, what questions are we going to ask when you do your initial applications? What types of questions are we going to ask in the interviews? How are we going to format the interviews? Are they going to be in person? Are they going to be on Teams? Are we going to have a panel of 5 people? Are we just going to have one-on-one interviews? They get to have oversight into that. And then obviously leveraging the help of the other trainees. So no man is an island, no man can do things alone. And so while you have the 2 heads of recruitment, they then work with the rest of the trainees, and not just the other second-year trainees, but third-year and first-year trainees as well. And they work together to pull off a successful recruitment cycle, which culminates in our assessment day, where the trainees actually set the assessment for that day of recruitment. So when you come in and you do a case study, it's actually been set by trainees, and that's leveraging what the third-year trainees know from having been in the bank for 3 years, and then being able to leverage the first-year trainees who are coming out of university with incredibly sharp technical knowledge and maybe a few things that the third and second years have gotten a little bit rusty about. So recruitment, I think it's a highlight. I think it's really fun. I think it's the first time that a lot of us get to see the impact we're going to have in other people's lives, and not just the impact that the training program is going to have on our lives. So linking nicely into recruitment is marketing, because we can't recruit people if they don't know about the program. And so I think I am a little bit biased towards marketing. I was the head of marketing in my second year, and I had such a great time. So what we do is we collaborate, we do things like a podcast, we do things like a talk at a university, we attend university career days, we organize class talks on relevant topics, and we go out and we just try to interact with students, with undergrad and postgrad students, with potential applicants, and we try to make sure that we are reaching as far and wide as we can. The marketing portfolio culminates in the CA seminar experience, which is a 3-day VAC work program that I'm sure we will touch on a little bit later. But that really is, it's incredible to see a year of hard work come together and come into something beautiful. And then social, everyone calls it the fun portfolio. Mm-hmm. So social is more internally focused. Usually we elect a CA and a quant because it represents both cohorts, and they work together to organize internal events for both the trainees on the program as well as alumni, to ensure that we can maintain that networking and it doesn't just fade away after bootcamp, but also to make sure that we have a little bit of fun. You can get very, very caught up in the day-to-day and the making sure you meet your deliverables, but being on a grad program is also about that connection, and the social portfolio helps to cultivate that connection.
Awesome. Thanks. Spoken like a true alumni. And then Nazmia, maybe speak to us about PI and helping you get your SACA competencies.
Program involvement has been a very powerful platform in developing leadership, ethical behavior, and interpersonal skills for me and meeting my competencies. Through my involvement in various initiatives spanning from the recruitment process to collaborative marketing initiatives, as well as organizing and attending social events, I've had the opportunity to lead with integrity, communicate with impact, and build strong relationships across diverse teams. These experiences have strengthened my influence over others positively. It's enabled me to make sound ethical decisions and foster an inclusive and supportive environment with my peers. My role as head of marketing for the Nedbank CA training program last year provided me with a valuable platform to develop and demonstrate ethical leadership, influence, and collaboration with my peers. Leading a team of 24 trainees wasn't that easy, but I was responsible for coordinating multiple projects and participating in multiple leadership engagements. These experiences sharpened my ability to delegate effectively, foster teamwork, and make sound ethical decisions, especially under pressure, as I was balancing demands of rotation, APC, and then, of course, leading the team of 24 trainees. The role also deepened my understanding of servant leadership. So the ability to balance, the ability to drive results with the team that I was managing, but also supporting and empowering and uplifting them to deliver. So through this, I learned to lead with empathy, inclusivity, and integrity while inspiring others to still deliver results and contribute meaningfully. So engaging with diverse teams and stakeholders, lots of stakeholders, internal and external, reinforced the importance of ethical leadership for me personally. Accountability, because there was lots of times things didn't go as we planned it to go, and there was lots of times I needed to step in as a leader and take accountability. And then purpose-driven leadership. Those are core competencies for any CA of the future, and program involvement has really just brought everything together.
Somebody bring me my computer. Bring me my SACA Eat. I need to discharge this girl. You are really proficient. But thank you, Nazma, for positioning that, because it's quite important to highlight the link between the two. Awesome. Naledi, current head, how is Leadership Girl going? What are some leadership lessons that you've learned, the easy or the hard way?
I'm just firstly so glad that I'm sitting with both previous marketing heads. I actually didn't realize quite a special moment. I think leadership is definitely a very personal journey. It's a very insightful journey because you get to learn so many things about yourself that you didn't even know that you needed to learn or that you didn't learn. Being a marketing head, you have to lead, and you have to lead by example. The soft skills that are associated with the role require massive reflection and intentionality. Being responsible for 24 trainees that look up to you in terms of the vision, the strategy, the day-to-day, how everything goes is really, really important. I think important to highlight that first years come in and they have no idea what works in the bank. They have no idea how to structure things, how to structure processes, what a timeline looks like, where to get what, and just who to communicate with for what. So you just have to take on the role of a mentor to these 10 people that are looking up to you. And that has taught me to lead with heart and just be more understanding and caring in my approach, because I think when I thought of leadership at first, it was just, you're a driver and you need to get results, and you just learn that it's not always at the cost of, it doesn't always have to be at the cost of other people, and you need to effectively leverage your team in order to make those dreams possible. And I've gone back to the drawing board so many times in terms of what I do. I've tried chatting to different people, and I'm like, okay, maybe if I get everyone's views individually, then I might be able to have more of an impact on them individually and rather as a collective. And I've learned how to deal with conflict quite well. I think that's one thing that we all have fun doing. And that has just taught me of the kind of person that I am. I have a lot of empathy in situations and I'm very approachable. So definitely a lot of lessons about myself and the kind of person that I am. And they will go a long way in shaping the leader that I am.
Awesome. No, thank you for sharing that, Naledi. Maybe moving on to the next point that we'll be discussing, mentorship and coaching that we offer our trainees. We've got a buddy system, a mentorship system. We've got group coaching. Perhaps of the support structures that are made available to trainees, buddy, mentor, group coaching, which ones have helped you transition and thrived in the work world, Naledi?
So for me, the buddy coaching was definitely very impactful. Especially in university, because we used to get a lot of messages and a lot of just comfort while studying, because you realize that you have this grand responsibility to do so well because you've already been given a contract, you can't fail. So really, Carly was really there for me in terms of having those conversations with me. How do I study? How do I position myself? Providing a very relatable perspective in terms of what a trainee does, what a trainee looks like. And I think from then, I was then able to foster other mentoring relationships, taking accountability for my connections, making the time for them. So yeah, the buddy system really did do a lot for me.
Awesome. Thanks, Naledi, for that. And maybe one last question. What advice have you ever received from a buddy, a mentor that you thought, listen, this is a serious plug?
So I think the best piece of advice that I've received throughout, and I mean, it's my 4th year at the bank. You have formal mentors, you have informal mentors, you have coffee chats, you have corridor conversations, and you get all of this advice. But the most important piece of advice I've ever received is don't take it personally. A credit manager goes through your paper, maybe Naledi goes through my paper and redlines my entire paper. It's never personal. It's always about making you better. And especially as a trainee, you come in and, as Nasmia said, you come in and you're on top of the world and you've just graduated and nothing can take you down until you get that first piece of criticism. And it's very difficult. You never receive that one-on-one criticism in university. However, now for the first time, someone is looking at a piece of work that you've done and picking up every little mistake. But you can't think of it that way. This person isn't there to bring you down. They're not there to say, oh, Claudia, you're a terrible trainee. They're there to make you better. And so what you have to do is you don't take it personally and you start making notes and you say, okay, I made this mistake 3 times. I'm not going to make it again now. Or, okay, maybe I didn't understand something, or I didn't like how this person delivered this to me. I make a note and I say, okay, the next time I deliver this type of feedback to someone, I'm not going to do it like this. You have to take everything as a learning experience, and the best way to do that is to not take it personally.
Thank you so much, ladies, for the insightful conversations that we've had. Really enjoyed hearing your Nedbank lived experience and how you've grown and been developed through this program. Thank you for watching us. We hope this conversation was enlightening to you and that it has really sparked some Nedbank desire. We want to wish you all the best, whether you're doing honors or undergrad, wishing you all the best for your academic journey as well as your career going forward. From us in studio, it's a wrap.